Hello, hello, hello. I think we're live. Thanks for everybody for watching. Want to wish everyone a Merry TeslaMas, or for those of you who prefer a Merry Christmas, I guess you can call it whatever you want to call it. Um, I'm happy to be here. I am sitting here in Bangkok on a reclining couch. I was out with actually a YouTube follower, YouTube subscriber who said, "Hey, I'm in Bangkok. Why don't we meet up?" This guy who lives in Thailand, married to a Thai wife, has a kid or two kids with her. um we just had a nice time together, and I think one hello hey King Carlo, hey Benjamin. So I think one of the things, just I want to communicate, first of all, we'll talk about Tesla in a minute, we'll talk about some other stuff. um I just want to communicate, I know some people are like, hey Warren, you're alone on Christmas, how are you feeling? And I'm like, well, I am Jewish. I often get people who are like concerned, well, what are you doing for Christmas? And like, I don't know. The traditional Jewish Christmas is to go out to a Chinese restaurant because the Chinese restaurants are open. So, for those, I appreciate people who are concerned about me and, oh, you should be with family or whatever. Like, it's not a holiday for us. And I talked to my one kid 12 hours ago, something like that. I'll talk to my other kid. I talk to my kids a lot. I'm very fortunate to have wonderful children. I'm enjoying Bangkok, enjoying Thailand. I'm enjoying life, and I hope that you are all doing well. I'm sure that some people who are watching are struggling with life, and I want to wish you well. I did put a link at the top of the space. I don't know if it's this way or this way. At the top of not the space, at the top of the chat, I put a link to what I'm going to do in 24 hours from now, roughly. Actually, less than 24 hours. 9 p.m. Thailand time, 9 a.m. Christmas Day, U.S. East Coast time, what I call an alone together space, where a lot of people on certain major holidays feel alone. And I personally will be alone, but I don't feel lonely when I'm alone on a holiday like this. But I like to create that space so people can come in and we can just sort of chat. I think we did it in the clubhouse in the past. I think we've done it on X a little bit. Um, I'll probably relax my verified only rule on the space. Somebody comment on that. At least at some point, I might relax it. We'll see how it goes. I'll be really careful because there's so much problem with people trolling spaces that really annoys me. Yeah, Thaddeus, very excited about Javier Malay. Deregulating air rights. I don't know. We'll see about that. So let's see some thoughts about Tesla. First of all, I've been seeing more Teslas in Bangkok. I saw, yeah, multiple Teslas today, actually. I'm not saying there are more Teslas, I'm just seeing more. I took some pictures I posted them on X of a Model Y with some Bangkok skyscrapers in the background. I thought that was really cool. They didn't really catch fire on X, but I thought maybe I needed to work on, I should have like filtered the images or edited the images to like enhance colors or something. I don't know. But um something that happened today, this is a little less cheerful, but I was in a space. What's the best gift Tesla could give you tomorrow? I suppose if they delivered FSD without nags, that would be the best gift. I don't think the stock market's going to be open, so I don't think that matters. I don't think I need Tesla to give me gifts. And I don't have a Tesla target for 20. I don't have a stock target for 2024. I'd like to see them deliver 2.3 million vehicles in 2024. I mean, my biggest target for Tesla is, make FSD really FSD. And, let's see if we start production on the next gen vehicle. Let's see if we can ramp Cybertruck. Let's see if we can ramp Megapack. There's a lot of great stuff happening at Tesla that I'm excited about. So the thing that happened today was I was in a space. So if you're on the X platform, there's these thing called Spaces, which used to be common on an app called Clubhouse. It's kind of like having a Zoom without the video. I think actually X is planning to add video to it. But so there's a group of people talking and there's a group of people listening. So I'm in this space and something happened that happens occasionally in these events. Is that someone I was talking with Scott Walter, who is, I think, one of the leading thought leaders on what's going on with Optimus. I think he's very smart in space. I think he's got some really good ideas about Tesla Bot. And I think he and I were kind of having a conversation about, will Tesla Bot be going in the factories? Is his general view. I think Tesla Bot should be going out to consumers as soon as possible in like a bot beta program. we were kind of having this conversation. I won't name the guy, but a guy started talking, and I'm like, wait a minute, I was talking to Scott. Who is this? And some guy with like 2,000 followers who sounds like he knows what he is talking about, but like I think we're well into the video now. I can say this. I have a bullshit meter. And my bullshit meter started going up and up and up and up. And like, this guy doesn't, number one, he's not really talking about what we were talking about. And number two, he's saying stuff that doesn't really make sense. The highlight of what he said was that Tesla is going to stop using over the air updates on Optimus. And Elon said so. And I'm like, I think you guys know I make videos. Anytime Elon speaks, almost, I make if he says something different than what he said in the past, I make a video breaking it down. If there's a Tesla event like AI Day, historically, I've watched the video many times, pieced it together, and made a video. What did we learn from this event? And he said it on like an AI Day. I'm like, no, I've watched I watched both AI Days like 5, 10 times each. He did not say that. So I was able to find the quote he was referring to, which was that they would include on Optimus an off switch that's a ROM chip that's not updatable over the air. That's not that bot will no longer have over the air updates. It's just you won't be able to over the air update to disable being able to turn the bot off. And I just wanted to mention this because look, some people think I'm a blowhard, right? Some people think I don't know what I'm talking about. And it's a real challenge when you're watching YouTubers or you're listening to people on the X platform or Facebook or whatever, somebody who purports to have some level of expertise, and you're like, well, wait a minute. How do I know this guy actually has some level of expertise versus he's just talking, blowing smoke up my ass? YouTube search is not putting Warren in my suggestions, even though I watch everything he does. Anything else having this? So let me take a break from that for a second. No, HOJ. So he was saying that you wouldn't be able to update bot over the air, which made absolutely no sense to me. What Elon said was you wouldn't be able to update bot to disable the off switch. That you would not be able to update. That would be, hardwired into the bot that you can turn it off. So Ken, I want to address this. Ken says YouTube search is not putting Warren in my suggestions, even though I watch everything he does. Anyone else having this issue? I can say this, Ken. My view count is down. I'm getting less views on YouTube than I was getting before. My revenue is down on YouTube. Now, I've been making less videos. I've been busy in Thailand. I've been busy in Japan. I've been so I don't know exactly what's going on. This is a long-term trend. This isn't a recent thing, but especially now that I've been in Asia, and maybe the topic of my videos has trended a little bit more towards Asia. Maybe I'm not making enough videos. I think the long-term trend is just there's more content creators out there making videos about Tesla, and some of them are better at making videos that engage the audience. They're not necessarily better at providing substantive analysis. Um, so they're I think there are some people who are really good at making entertaining content, but they might not be that good at making good analytical content. So, um, yeah, there's a bell. You can click a bell, but he's talking about finding me on search. He's not talking about getting notified of the video. So Major Human, I want to turn to this. Major Human says, I was in that space. I think what he said about not being able to let the bot go out and train alone as there's no driver to correct mistakes was interesting. Well, sure, it's interesting. It's also baloney. It's not true. Like, and first of all, nobody said alone. I said a bot beta program where consumers would have a bot. I didn't say the bot would be alone. Yeah, am I in Rivian? No, I don't have any Rivian stock. I think I still have a tiny bit of Arcimoto stock, but like, I mean, like single digit dollars worth of Arcimoto stock. So yeah, my view count is down. My engagement on the X platform is up. I am now making more money on the X platform than I am making on YouTube. I'm going to continue making on YouTube videos on YouTube for the foreseeable future. But I just, wanted you guys to know, I'm much more active on the X platform. I'm also political on the X platform, and I'm not political on this platform. So if you don't want to see my politics, I'm still going to make this weekly live stream as much as I can. I haven't been as consistent about it. Well, no, it's not just that my revenue is down because I'm making less videos. My view count is down on each video, and my revenue per video has been down. So even when I make a video, like I made a video with Larry Goldberg that I thought was a pretty good video. I made a video with CERN Basher that I thought was a really good video where we talked about TeslaBot. And those videos that I think the CERN video got like surprisingly few views. So I don't know what exactly I'm doing wrong. And I'm just going to say, like, it's not like I'm dependent on YouTube income, right? You guys know I own a fair amount of Tesla stock. I have a fair amount of, I'm not poor. I'm now living a very inexpensive life in Asia. So it's not like I need the money. I make these videos because I like making them. I honestly, you know, I do make a little bit of money making these videos, but honestly, I enjoy engaging with all of you who are in the chat, all of you who are in the comments. So I don't really make these. If I was really focused on making money, there was a moment about 2 years ago when I saw what Stephen Mark Ryan was doing, and I thought about emulating him. I think Tesla Economist was emulating Stephen Mark Ryan early on, and I thought, well, this would be a good way to get more views, and so. But it's like, well, that's Stephen. Stephen and I think a lot alike on a lot of issues related to Tesla. We have the same opinions, but Stephen has his way of making videos, and I have my way of making videos. And I didn't want to be like a secondary Stephen, like an almost as good as Stephen. I wanted to be Warren. So I just decided to make the videos I want to make and not worry about it. So I think I'm still making roughly the same kind of content I made before. I don't make as many edited videos, but still my live streams, which have generally done well, are getting less views and they're making less money. And I'm not worried about it. Don't cry for me. If you want to support me as a YouTube channel member, if you want to be a subscriber on X to help me out, don't panic. I'm not going to starve. But it's just kind of funny. So yeah, so anyway, I'm in this space. Let's go back to the story. So I'm in this space, and this guy's a blowhard, and he's talking. His name's Brock something, not Brock Pearson. Brock's the hot dog influencer. He's great, and he's doing the blowhard thing, and he just kept going. And it's a little bit of Gordon Johnson. If you've ever noticed, Gordon Johnson talks really fast, says a lot, doesn't give you a chance to say anything, and by the time he's finished whatever he's saying, he said like 20 things and like 19 of them are wrong, and it's like, which one do I correct? So this guy's blah 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 blah, and I'm like, who is this guy? Why is he talking? I messaged somebody, who is this guy? I don't know. I think he's some kind of computer engineer. Like nobody knows. I don't know anybody knows who he is. But if you talk a lot, and with due respect to the moderators, I think the moderators maybe let some people up to speak. I have a verified. This guy's verified. There was another guy in this space who's not verified. September 2023, created account, 300 followers. Like, why is this guy on the stage? I don't bring people up who are not, again, for tomorrow's Alone Together space, it'll be different. But if I'm having a substantive space, I want people of substance speaking. Scott Walter's a person of substance. I think I'm a person of substance. This other guy, like, okay, he talks a lot, but does he make any sense? And I completely caught him on one. There were so many other things he said that didn't make sense. Scott and I have a legitimate, I think this is an important topic, by the way, is how does Tesla expand bot? Benjamin Sanders says, I know you've said for years, Stephen Mark Ryan and I shouldn't do a discussion because we agree on everything. I think both audience would love it either way. I would love to talk to Stephen. I would really more like to go out and, have dinner with Stephen or just hang out with Stephen. But like, what are we going to talk? We both say the same basic things. He's more entertaining. Look, Joe, half joking only. It's like Stephen Mark Ryan is my more attractive, more interesting, more entertaining identical twin, better looking identical twin. Like I can't compete with that. He's funny, he's entertaining, he's witty, whatever. He puts it all together. He's a great package. I got to do me. I can't do Steven. But like, what would we disagree about? I don't know if I've ever disagreed with Steven, unless we're talking about dating. I don't think I've ever seen Steven say anything about Tesla that I disagreed with. I just love the guy. So maybe your viewer count went down because of your European fan base not feeling your different time schedule. Well, but my view count is down on the edited videos too, and that doesn't fit. And when I publish the edited videos at the same time of day, I publish my edited videos for the US East Coast audience. I always target like the US East Coast. And if I'm what is it, like 10:43 a.m. US East Coast? It's daytime in Europe, so I don't think that fits. Yeah, Stephen, Mark, Ryan, and Farzad. Like, see, I couldn't even watch that. I can't really watch Stephen or Farzad because we agree so much. Like, what's the point? Like, I want to watch people that are going to say something I might not agree with. I want to see somebody with when we have the same. And I'm not saying you shouldn't watch him. I just think for me, like, but I think Farzad came along. I think Farzad probably makes better videos than I do. Herbert does better interviews than I do. Like, I just fundamentally think, like those guys are going to do them. I'm going to do me. And, I get as many views as I get. And I really appreciate all of you joining me on Christmas Eve for you. Um, Actually, it's Christmas Eve for me. It's 10:44 p.m. in Bangkok. So I just think there's this thing where I wish people had more of a bullshit meter or a bullshit filter to recognize when somebody's talking shit. I think there are certain YouTubers, I'm not going to name any names, and it's definitely not Steven and Farzad, just to be clear. So we were talking about Steven and Farzad earlier. I want to be clear. I think Steven and Farzad are great. But there's certain YouTubers who just like tell great stories, but it's like, well, wait a minute. Was there really substance behind that? And especially on the X platform, there's people who are posting, there's people who are talking on the spaces, and I'm like, does this guy really know what he's talking about? This guy had this, like, I don't know, 10-minute word salad. And you throw in big words. I forget what he's using. There was some phrase he used. It was like an affordance or something like that. I'm like, I watch Elon all the time. I watch Andre Karpathy I watch all this stuff. I read tons about AI, and he's using this term, and I'm like, I'm not saying it's not a real term. I'm not saying there's not an appropriate use of the term, but the way he was using it didn't fit with anything he was talking about. It didn't make any sense. It's like, why are you using a term that no one else knows? Because you're trying to sound more educated than everyone else. So you drop big words. If you don't know what the guy's talking about, maybe he doesn't know what he's talking about. So Ken Boone says, I have to literally search now to get Warren's content, no exaggeration. So if you want to find me, just search Warren Tesla. If you go on YouTube and you search Warren Tesla, you'll find me. But if you're searching Tesla, blah, 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 well, I'm not making as much Tesla content as other people. Some people are probably making a video a day. I don't know, is Steven still making 1 or 2 videos a day? I'm making like a video a week. I did have a burst recently where I made like 4 videos in a short time. PYGKLB says, I'd like to see you and Alex Guberman from E for Electric, do a test drive of VinFast in Bangkok. So just so you guys know, Alex Guberman is in Bangkok. He and I have been talking about making videos together. We have not been able to execute well. I think he was just in Vietnam. He was making some content about VinFast. I haven't seen any VinFast here in Thailand. I've seen a lot of BYD and I've seen some other EVs. Not on the road. I've seen more Teslas on the road than any other EVs, but I've seen signs for BYD. And I think somebody was telling me today, Tesla's imported for China pay no tariff. But if I try to import my Cybertruck from America, I'm going to pay like 200% tariff. Sorry, that's a detail I haven't mentioned. I have an early Cybertruck order reservation from within the first hour of the Cybertruck event. And I did get an email from Tesla saying you can configure your Foundation Series Cybertruck order, which is like $20,000 extra. And it was open for me to either do all-wheel drive or do Cyber Beast, the tri-motor. And for me, Foundation Series does not make sense, and getting the car earlier does not make sense. I don't know where I'm going to be living yet. Right now I'm in Bangkok. I'm feeling pretty good about Bangkok and Thailand, but there's like a 30% chance I'm going to go back to Japan before the end of January. I'm exploring Bangkok right now. I'm trying to figure it out. If I'm in Japan and it goes to like the fall of 2024, like I think there's a chance I could bring the Cybertruck. I would have everything in place that I would need to be able to bring the Cybertruck to Japan. So I'm not in a hurry to get Cybertruck now, and the benefits of the Foundation series, some of them don't really apply to me. And also the Cybertruck ships with the off-road tires, which are not going to be useful to me in Bangkok or Japan. I should say there is a particular reason why I would want to have a Cybertruck in either Thailand or Japan. If I am building the pod car and I am trying to recruit engineers to work for me on the pod car, saying, hey, let's go for a ride in my Cybertruck is probably like a nice little perk. that will get people interested. And sorry, Cybertruck will be the bed of Cybertruck should be large enough with the back door down, whatever you call the whatever, to hold a pod car. The vision I have of the size of pod car, it will fit in the back of a full size pickup. So of a 6.5 foot bed, you'd be able to have the door up. Cybertruck, you'd probably have to have the door down, but we should be able to fit the pod car in there. So there's a couple of reasons why I would like to have a Cybertruck here. I could get a quarter ton pickup and maybe it would fit in the back of that. But who wants a gas truck? Yuck. So prediction for when Optimus will first generate income for Tesla from T. Nelly. Great question. So this is part of my disagreement with Scott Walter. I think Scott kind of said he doesn't disagree with me, so I'm not really sure where we are on that because we got cut off by Brock, the annoying Brock guy. I think there's a strong chance that Tesla starts selling. So we have Gen 2 bot that they just revealed. I think there's a chance they manufacture those at some scale. But if not the Gen 2 bot, the Gen 3 bot, which would probably be sometime in 2024. And if they manufacture them at some scale, like 10,000 or 100,000, then they've got to go out and sell them. They can't use all those. Scott thinks they're using them in the factory. I don't think there's enough things in the factory for Tesla bot to do to absorb 10,000 bots. So I think there's a really strong chance that Tesla will make revenue from Tesla bot in 2025 and a small chance in 2024. You don't know who Steven is? Stephen Mark Ryan, solving the money problem. In a year, Warren will say the best thing that ever happened to him is the fact he did not find a wife in the U.S. I don't know that I would say that. I think I met some very there's one particular woman, a doctor in New York, who I think was absolutely spectacular. Went on a couple dates with her. She dumped me. Chemistry wasn't quite there, but she was really good. Like I liked her. I would have loved to given that more of a shot. There's another woman that I dated that I really that probably would have been a train wreck, but I would have given that a shot. I don't know that a marriage in Thailand will be better than what I would have had with them. I really think that doctor in New York's amazing. I wish we had I wish she'd given that a little bit longer, but women have to make their choices, and I respect that. Differences, similarities in training the bot versus FSD cars. That guy made me think they'd have to be quite different. Not saying he's correct, by the way. So there's a really critical difference between Tesla bot and the cars when it comes to training. The car does not manipulate objects. Both of them have to learn to navigate the world. The car operates in a somewhat constrained environment. I don't think it's as constrained as people think. I mean, the real world where you drive is a lot of places, but the car never climbs stairways. The car is never going to drive into an elevator and get out. Well, I shouldn't say that. Actually, there are places where cars go in elevators. But by and large, I don't know how often the cars are going to go in elevators. So there's certain contexts where the bot will be walking in places, I mean, significant places, like inside the house, right? Bot's going to be, active in places that the cars aren't active. But still, they're navigating a three-dimensional space. They're identifying objects, predicting where things are going to move. They're navigating the space. So, and I think that that's understanding the real world. And so that part, I think, they're much more similar. When it comes to picking an object and putting it over there, the car doesn't do that. How do you manipulate the object? How do how strong do you hold it? There's a lot of things that bot has to learn that the car doesn't learn. So that's a really big difference. But and I think there are ways of training the bot that are like, so you have a human wearing an exoskeleton and doing movements, and you're tracking all the human's movements, and you show the bot this is how the human did it. Great. Um, that doesn't mean that bot can't go out in the real world and walk around the space, walk around with me and not manipulate objects. That doesn't mean that I can't give the bot some tasks and see how it does. Um, Bob says me and some other kid almost ran off to Bangkok in the late 60s. Yeah, I'll say this. Bangkok, I was just out tonight. Bangkok is a pretty happening city. Like when I think about um, what cities are the most exciting cities on the planet right now, Bangkok is pretty high up there, and so is Tokyo. I have to think. Berlin. I don't know if Berlin is still happening. Austin is great, but Austin is small. New York is kind of tired. I've been in New York a bit. Um, Nashville, but Nashville's small. Miami's pretty happening, but still, compared to Bangkok, all these cities are small except for New York and Tokyo. Bangkok is a big, exciting city with so much going on. I wish they would adopt more electric vehicles. I wish they would encourage more electric vehicles, particularly the electric scooters that I saw in India. I don't know why we don't see those here. Um, your views fall in the early years. You talked about 10 trillion and 50 trillion. So what CM is saying is I should be coming up with outlandish numbers for Tesla stock every week because I could do that, right? This is another thing. Like I used to make videos saying, here's my battery revenue model, and this is how many trillions of dollars Tesla's gonna be worth, and this is what it means for the stock. And here's my robo taxi model, and here's my energy model, and whatever. Putting together, here's my bot model, and you come up with these crazy numbers. And the problem is I already made that video. Like, what am I going to do? My updated battery revenue model when nothing has changed? I mean, the battery revenue model, I think the dollars per kilowatt hour is kind of down a little bit, but really overall, it's still over $500 a kilowatt hour when you add everything up. My robo-taxi model hasn't really changed. My bot model hasn't really changed. Am I supposed to make the same? I don't want to make the same video over again. That's boring for me. I'm not in this. Like, I don't mind the money. I'm certainly happy to take the money that I make doing YouTube videos and whatever, all the content creation. But I don't want to make the same video over and over again. That's just boring. And, Steven does a really good job of ripping apart, the talking heads on CNBS or CNBC or whatever. And I did those videos before, but I don't even need to do that anymore because Steven does it so well. There's no point in me doing it. Should I buy a Tesla or invest that money into Tesla shares? Mike K says. So, of course, in this channel, I don't give financial advice. Um, that's a classic thing I'm supposed to say, right? Um, I would say it depends how much money you have. So, if you have 10,000 shares of Tesla stock, then it's okay to go ahead and buy a Tesla. If you have 100 shares of Tesla stock, I would say if you're going to buy a car, then you should evaluate, is the Tesla a better car than the Toyota Camry that I'm looking at? And I would say yes. If you're going to be buying a car, buy a Tesla. If you don't need to buy a car, then I'm not sure why you'd buy a car in the first place. Um, Major Human says Cybertruck in Bangkok, can they be used the way pickups in Bangkok are used? I see them very heavily loaded. Cybertruck will have more payload capacity. The trucks in Bangkok are quarter-ton pickups. Cybertruck is at least a half-ton pickup. So it's got more capacity to carry stuff than what they do in Bangkok. And mostly what I see, it looks like it's carrying a lot and it's not necessarily a lot of weight. Am I going to take delivery of my truck? Amy asks, am I going to take my delivery? So what I'm not doing is I'm not taking delivery of the Foundation Series version of the truck. So that means I wait probably until they clear all the Foundation Series orders. My best guess is that if I don't take a Foundation Series truck, I will get Cybertruck in the fall. And my rough plan then is to take delivery of the Cybertruck in the fall, fly to the US, drive it around for a couple weeks, and then decide what I'm doing with it next. One option is to ship it to whatever Asian country I'm living in. I'm I'm not 100% sure, but I'm like 95% sure I'll be living in Asia indefinitely, years, 3 years minimum, and possibly the rest of my life or most of the rest of my life. So if I can bring the Cybertruck to Asia where I am in Asia, then I want to. Whether it makes sense to do that is another question. Whether it makes sense to do it now is another question. Um, Another option is to have a friend who has. I have friends who run vehicles in Turo. So make a deal with a friend. Hey, run my Cybertruck in Turo. We'll split the profits in some way, and make that work. I have talked to someone about doing that on Turo. I want to identify what's the best city. See if I know somebody who has a fleet of Turos there, and say, hey, would you take my Cybertruck in your fleet, and we'll split this profit some way. You have to make it worth that person's while, right? But if that would be a good approach to it. LJ says, should I keep my new X or take delivery of my new Cybertruck? Love the X on the highway. Your thoughts appreciated. I would take Cybertruck over Model X in a heartbeat. I mean, it depends what you're going to use it for. I agree that the X is a great vehicle. I think Cybertruck is fundamentally, I think Cybertruck is a better vehicle. It's heavier. It's probably less efficient. Like if you do a lot of road tripping, Model X is probably a better road trip car than Cybertruck. Um, because Model X has 340-ish miles of range. Cybertruck, the foundation series all-wheel drive Cybertruck ships currently with 318 miles of range with the off-road tires. If you can get one with all-season tires on an all-wheel drive, I think you're getting close to um, 340 miles of range. Then it's about the same. But you're going to use more electricity on Cybertruck because it's less efficient. It's hard to believe something's less efficient than the Model X because the Model X is pretty inefficient compared to like a Model 3. Model 3 is amazing. Um, yeah, it depends what you use it for. Um, I personally would take the Cybertruck because it's just cool. And I would say Cybertruck's going to hold its value. I think Model X is dead. 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 I love Model X. I have a Model X Plaid still. If somebody driving it, making payments for me, whatever. But I think Cybertruck's Model X's future is pretty much shot. Um, Charles L says latest videos have been great, but you had a lot of stinkers in a row. I don't know if I agree with that. Okay. Where is version 12? Elon has been very quiet about it. Well, Elon is there's this whole quiet period thing or whatever. Uh, I don't know what the status is of version 12. I'm guessing it's taken a lot of work to make it work right. Mark Plot, great. Hey, Mark. Mark Plot says 4680 100 gigawatt hours when. So I think out of Giga Texas, I think Giga Texas might have 100 gigawatt hours of 4680 capacity at the end of next year. They've got two lines. I think they have one line fully up and running with CyberCell, another line they're converting to CyberCell. Then they're going to add two more lines, and then they got four more lines coming later. I think the 8 lines together, where they're running at full capacity, that might be 100 gigawatt hours of battery capacity. I'm not sure of that. They're supposed to start building out Giga Nevada. Giga Nevada will also be making 4680 cells. I don't know of another place outside of Fremont has a small production capacity of 4680s. So when they start building out Nevada, that's probably going to be another. I'm guessing that's going to be another 100 gigawatt hours of 4680 cells a year, and that's like probably capacity and not necessarily run rate. That's not necessarily total production. Total production might be 80% of that. I'm not aware of any plans to build 4680 anywhere else. I mean, there were plans to build them in Berlin, so maybe they'll get back to that. Mr. Senowajan says Warren Redlick have Tesla margins bottomed in Q4. I don't worry about margins. I think what happens with Tesla margins. Thank you, Team JG, for your support. I think Tesla's margins are far more dependent on what happens in the economy than they are what happens with Tesla. I think Cybertruck. So Q4, you've got Cybertruck being initiated, and that's going to be a downward force on margins because Cybertruck will be unprofitable the first quarter and probably the second quarter. So probably Q1 will be a downward pressure on profits. You've got some other things getting better that'll help profits, um, but I just don't worry about short margins is a short term thing. The long term stuff is when do we get genuine FSD, robo taxi? When do we get bot? What happens with AI training as a service with Dojo? There's a lot of big long term things that I'm focused on, and I don't really worry about what the short term margins are going to be. Major Human, where's the reinforcement learning labeling thumbs up, thumbs down for the bot going to come from? Okay, so this is something that this Brock guy got wrong because he talked about it as if he kind of got it, but he kind of didn't get it. He talked about it as if the fundamental thing that trains the cars is human intervention, and that's just flat not true. And James Dowma talked about that in an interview with me probably 2 years ago. There are many different things that trigger a bot to learn. Not that the individual bot learns, but the bot realizes I did something wrong or something's not right. We need to send this up for training. So the trigger, thumbs up, thumbs down, is not the only trigger for bots learning, or whether it's the car or the humanoid bot. It's the bot is identifying objects and making predictions about what's going to happen and navigating and making predictions about how navigation is going to go. So if it flickers in identification, this is something that came up, I think, in one of the AI days. If it sees stop sign, yield sign, stop sign, like if it flickers between two identifications, okay, it's not identifying that object well. Let's get a bunch of clips of scenes like that, and let's load that up into the training supercomputer, and let's train the cars to better identify stop signs and yield signs. Predict an object. You see a car and you predict it's going to go here and it goes there instead. Okay, we predicted the motion of that vehicle wrong. Let's feed that in. Let's train that. Let's find a whole bunch of clips, feed that in, train that. So there's a whole bunch of things that the car is predicting what's going to happen or trying to identify objects. And when it gets something, when there's flicker or something doesn't go the way it thinks, that's something to train on. And that is more important than you or me intervening. It is a bigger signal than our interventions. Admiral Medjay says, "Are you an immature man-child if you're a grown man over 40 who burst out laughing every time Warren says Bangkok?" Uh, I would say that that's normal. I I think it in my head. It sounds gay, doesn't it? Hey, what are you going to do tonight? I'm going to Bangkok. Ugh, it's a little gay sounding. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Tesla's the four safest cars ever tested by the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration per Mark Plot. That is correct, and it really has the most safest. Don't forget that Semi and Cybertruck are also safer than any other car on the road. Um, Thank you, Mike K. Benjamin Sanders, if orders open tomorrow for the Model 2, would you buy one? Well, we don't have enough information, but short answer is yeah. Especially for Asia. I think that the next gen vehicle, which I do not call Model 2, and you should not call Model 2, and they specifically told everyone don't call it Model 2. For the next gen vehicle, I absolutely want one in Asia. And that might be, what I get instead of Cybertruck in Asia. I don't know. Major Human says in Bangkok, usually massive amount of food people in trucks, big volume, low weight, always heavily modified. Not always heavily modified. There are some that are modified. You take Cyberpunk to Tijuana and have a cerveza. Okay. 2025 Cyber SUV likely announced. So I think that there's possibility for Cybertruck to have an SUV version. There's also possibility for a van to be done on the Cybertruck platform. I think both make a lot of sense, but I don't know. I'm not sure how much the structure between the rear seat and the bed is important, or how you would have to re-engineer Cybertruck to make it an SUV. I talked to Franz. I actually met Franz at the Plaid event, talked to him about that, asked him about other vehicles that would have the Cybertruck, stainless steel construction. And Franz was not big on the idea of other vehicles having the stainless steel construction. I think an SUV is a good candidate for it. The van is probably not a good candidate for the stainless steel construction, I think, but we'll see. Admiral Medjay says Model X is timeless. Yeah, I don't think so. And I have an X and I love it. I've done 44,000 miles in it myself. I love the car, but it's not timeless. I think its time is up. Um, do I know when they open new Fremont battery factory? I'm not aware of a new Fremont battery factory. I haven't heard anything about it. Like, I'm not sure what you're even talking about, Mark. I mean, they've been making 4680s in Fremont since before they started making them in Texas. Um, Maybe they're adding a line or something. I think what they said was that Fremont would be basically a pilot line for the next whatever generation of cell they're making in Texas. Fremont would be the next generation cell line, like for primarily like R&D rather than for actual manufacturing. Thank you, 1977 Sith Lord. I'm not sure what you mean that you miss me. We would I normally see? I don't know who 1977 Sith Lord is in person, so I don't know if you're somebody I actually know in the real world. Um, um, Model X can tow 5,000. Model X can tow a lot more than 5,000 pounds. It's rated for 5,000 pounds. If GPT-4 is rumored to cost $100 million to train, what will FSD version 12 cost? I don't know enough about the cost of AI training to answer that. And there are different kinds of training because one is large language model and one is, diffusion / whatever. Yeah, again, Merry TeslaMas to everyone. I don't have any SpaceX thing to talk about right now. I will say this. There's another thing I want to say. Like I have been really big on Boring Company for a long time, and as I spend time in Bangkok, and as I spent time in India, but briefly in India, other places, Malaysia, I think the potential for the Boring Company to help a variety of places like Bangkok would be so much better with the Boring Company tunnel system. Their mass transit system is okay. It's nowhere near as good as Japan. Japan hasn't like I can't say enough. Like so, I'm choosing between Bangkok and Japan. Japan has clean air. Japan has clean drinkable tap water. Japan has amazing transit. Like I think possibly the best transit system in the world. You can say Singapore, but Singapore's small. Japan's like a much larger place. The quality of transportation in Japan is off the charts great. I don't think it costs that much more than taking transit in Bangkok, and I think you get a lot more for your money when it comes to that. And I'm going to say this: like if you like Bangkok can be a cheap place to live. I am looking at renting. I'm scratching my. I can't believe I saw this. I think I may be able to rent a 600 square foot 2 bedroom condo in a building that was built in 2020 with a pool, of course, and a like one of the best gyms I've ever seen in a condo building in Bangkok for $430 a month. And if I wanted to go to a 1 bedroom, it would be like $200 a month. I'm looking at a different location that would be more expensive, but still like $600 or $700 a month. But like a location that's really appropriate for what I want to do with the podcar startup and a co-working space incubator. And we're talking like high-rise towers, luxury high-rise condo towers. So I don't know how I got off on this sandbag thing. But so I just being in Bangkok, I just see how much a boring company tunnel system would improve the quality of life. It would reduce road noise. There's a ton of road noise in Bangkok. It would reduce emissions. You'd have electric vehicles going in tunnels instead of gas vehicles emitting fumes on the roads. I and they're spending money building these monorails is like I don't know. I think the Boring Company tunnel system might actually deliver more value for less money than what they're spending on the monorail system. So I would love to see Boring Company get going. And I'm sure there's lots of cities like Bangkok that would benefit from it. Other large cities, maybe in Vietnam or in India or wherever. Just like so much potential. Do I think Cybertruck will create a halo effect for Rivian and Ford? Well, I don't think Ford is anywhere near scaling a EV truck. I think Rivian's making progress. I think Rivian's got its own. Um, I think Rivian's doing fine. I think they have a big market. Model C likely an affordable 2+2 roadster with 2 doors. Are you saying Mark? Are you saying that that's the next gen vehicle? I think the next gen vehicle. I think Steven and Farzad were talking about this. I did watch a little bit of that. I think that there will be multiple versions of the next gen vehicle. I think it's very likely there will be a small vehicle with 4 seats that I don't think there's going to be a 2-seater. I think there's going to be a 4-seater. I don't want to rule out a 2-seater, but I think there's going to be a 4-seater. Maybe there'll be a small SUV. Maybe there'll be a small minivan type thing. I think there's a lot of potential for a lot of different variants of the next, and the sedan, of course. But like Volkswagen Golf style vehicle, who knows? Um, Happy Bacon Shrimp Hanukkah. Thank you, Amy Neiman. What do most people misunderstand about Optimus? Well, most people don't know anything about Optimus and don't realize that it's not just a toy, that Optimus is basically the step towards providing a massive solving the labor shortage that we're seeing in lots of places in at least the Western world, and being able to just become a general purpose humanoid robot that does a lot of stuff for us and takes care of a lot of jobs that people don't want to do that need to be done and frees people up to do jobs that they want to do more. Do you think I could put 2 range extender batteries in Cybertruck? No. No, I don't think there will be a 2 range extender battery option. Um, the most misunderstood thing about Optimus is there's no resistance. Is that an ohm thing? I don't know what your joke. Wait, is that a joke? So FSD is predicting what it should see, and when the prediction and input from cameras don't align well, that's the training signal that no. So the FSD is predicting. First of all, it's like let's say I think that's a stop sign. And then for a second it says no, it's a yield sign. Then it says it's a stop sign again. That's flicker. It's not that it's not prediction. So it predicts this is what, and then that's one thing is the flicker is that it thinks something is X and then it turns out to be Y for a second and it goes back to X. It thinks it's a stop sign, then it thinks it's a yield sign, then it thinks it's a stop sign. That's an identification flicker. Prediction is it predicts that this object is going to move from here to there, and the object either doesn't move at all or moves to a different place. So when the actual observation in the real world is not consistent with the prediction, now you've got training signal. Um, Michael says, I drove an X last week and it was amazing, much more roomy than my S. So the biggest differences between the X and the S are, yeah, there's a lot more interior cabin space, and the X is much easier to get into. Model S, like I'm a pretty good shaped guy, I'm pretty limber, and getting into a Model S, also a Model 3, it's like you really got to crouch, like contort your body to get into these things. Mark Plot says, I'm referring to the building for the 4680. I'm referring to a building Tesla leased on the shore of Fremont. Is there a shore? Down the street from 4680 Pilot Line, met God and Wilderness, sometimes make drone videos. Honestly, Mark, I haven't seen that. I feel like I watch everything Tesla and I have not seen that. LJ says, Warren, when will you share your best massage story? Seems better ROI to me than buying some date at dinner. Well, so if your long-term goal is to get married and have children, then massage girls are not the answer. You don't want to marry a prostitute. So my only story from that world is a friend of mine invited me to go to a go-go bar. And a go-go bar, at least this go-go bar, is a place, I think this is common, where you sit and you order a drink. And I would say it's an overpriced drink, but to me, drinks are generally overpriced in Bangkok anyway. So you sit and order a drink, and there's a bunch of girls up on the stage that are at least half naked. Boob showing, basically. And they're just standing there and they're sort of kind of dancing, but they're not really into it. And to me, it felt like a really artificial environment. And the game is that the way that you play the game, so to speak, is the girls have a number on them, and you tell your waitress, who is not at all attractive, but apparently makes more money than the girls, than the go-go girls. Hey, I want number 27, or it's actually 3-digit numbers. 228, I think it was. 228 looks cute. Would you have her come sit with me? So 228 comes and sits with me, and you buy the girl a drink. I think they give her water, but they call it a drink or whatever. I don't know whether she's actually drinking alcohol. And I guess in theory, you talk to her. There's no like, you're not like, she's not touching you inappropriately. You're not touching her inappropriately, whatever. And I was sitting with the girl. I bought her a couple of drinks. She doesn't speak English. I don't speak Thai. I didn't think there was a whole lot of chemistry there. I didn't really plan on going anywhere with this. If you really want to, you then tell the waitress, hey, I want to take this girl home with me, and you pay what's called a bar fine. This is what I've learned from others. I have not done this. You bring the girl home, and then there's some sort of negotiation about what services are going to be provided and what she's going to be paid. And that is not good ROI if your goal is to find a wife, because that girl's not going to make a good wife. General view, I'm not saying it's impossible, but the general view of men, Western men that I talk to who've been in Thailand for a while is bar girls, massage girls. There's actually a blowjob. There's actually something called a blowjob bar. I haven't. The only one I went to was the go-go bar I mentioned already. There's apparently something called a blowjob bar. Um, and none of this, like, I'm not saying I'm not interested in sex. It's just like I'm just not interested in paying for it. That just gives me like yeah, I don't like that feeling at all. So anyway, I didn't really see anything, and I said, okay, you can leave now, whatever. I don't know how, what the polite way. If I checked with my friend, I did it the polite way, and she left, and I went back to my friend's place and went to sleep. Um, so I love small Japanese villages, open trench with fresh water running. There's even fish. Small Japanese villages are tend to be boring for a lot of people. Japanese people generally want to live in big cities. I'm sure there's exceptions to that. Have I seen the Optimus Tommy Gun Cybertruck skit? Not. Yes, I did see that. I think a lot of earthquakes in Japan, Warren. I don't know. I've lived through earthquakes before. That doesn't bother me. How many more gigafactories does Tesla need to get to 20 million deliveries per year, and is that attainable? Well, of course it's attainable. Um, I think that the next gen vehicles will be produced at about a rate of 2 million vehicles per factory per year. So we're already at like 5 million a year or 6 million a year potential run rate on the factories we have now. So I guess you need 7 next gen vehicle factories. I think it's probably like 5 next gen vehicle factories, and maybe there's some vehicle coming after that. Like there's going to be a van factory, semi's going to ramp, um, Cybertruck might ramp bigger than people think. So yeah, I think that's doable. But somewhere in the ballpark to 5 to 7 factories is my guess. And it's not, you could have factories in the same location you currently have factories. It doesn't have to be a new location, right? Giga Texas has a lot of room. I think Berlin has a fair amount of room, and I'm sure they can find room in Shanghai. So yeah, yeah, yeah. Amy says she's worried about earthquakes. Yeah, we have hurricanes in Florida, Amy. I'm not sure that earthquakes are necessarily worse than hurricanes. They can be worse than hurricanes. A bad earthquake is bad, but a bad hurricane's bad too. I don't know if Thailand has much of natural disasters. I'm not sure about that. Argentina would benefit from the boring company, but if they get the property rights correct, the boring company would benefit the most. Absolutely. LJ says I did 12 hours highway. My new exit blew me away. Night and day improvement over Y and SL, in my opinion. I mean, I drove 44,000 miles on my X in a year. I did tons of road tripping. I thought it was great. I think S is great for a road trip. Honestly, I think I've done road trips in 3 and Y. I think they're great too. X is really comfortable. I think S is also really comfortable. I think S might be better to sleep in than X. That's a long conversation. Depends on which X you have. What happened to Osmo? No idea. Most people who review Tesla FSD is based on outdated data. Did I have fun at Soy Cowboy? I walked through Soy Cowboy during the day before the activities were on. I went to Nana Plaza. These are adult entertainment sections of Bangkok. I went to Nana Plaza. I did not, and Nana Plaza was not open. I was walking by in maybe the morning or something like that. There was nothing going on in Nana Plaza. I haven't done any of that in Bangkok. I went, like I said, I went briefly, saw that the life in Pattaya, and I had enough of it. Um, Merry Christmas, Merry TeslaMas. Does anybody know which bank now shorted Tesla? I have no idea. Do you think the reason for short ranges on Cybertruck is Tesla's 4680 battery constraint? No, it's not the battery constraint. It's that the battery doesn't have the full energy density yet. You go like 3 or 4 generations of battery out to 2026, which is what Drew Baglino said, so 3 years from now, and the energy density of the 4680 cell will be higher. I think also Tesla decided there's some re-engineering going on and how you're going to lay out everything. But I think Elon and the team have decided that the range just isn't that they don't need 500 miles of range. You pretty much get close to 500 miles of range with the range extender. If you go out, let's say a 20% improvement in the energy density, you're going to get, close to 400 miles of range. You'll get more than 400 miles range on an all-wheel drive Model 3, Cybertruck. So, and the range extender will put you over 500 miles. I think, having watched Elon on Joe Rogan talk about this, I think that there are people who think that this 500-mile range thing is important, and Elon just doesn't think it's important. And the team just decided, they looked at the data, and the number of times that people are going to exhaust 400 miles range is really, really rare. It's just not that common. And even 300 miles of range, let's say it's 250 miles of real world range, whatever vehicle you have. That, like, real world range, not rated range, but actual real world range. The average person drives like 40 miles a day. On a big day, how often do you drive more than 250 miles in a day? It's not once a week. It's probably not once a month. For most people, for the vast majority of people, it's probably not once. Maybe it's once a month. Well, I mean, how important is that? And you have to charge once. Why is it such a big deal? Any comment on Tesla drivers are most likely to have an accident? I think that was false. But I didn't dive into the details of there. I think Rob Maurer broke it down a little bit, and I think Rob did a better explanation than I would. So I think it was Rob Maurer like 2, 3, 4 days ago that he covered that. Mark Plot says Japan has Nomi Hodai for $20, all you can drink, but minimum food purchase. So there's a variety of what Mark is talking about is something called Nomi Hodai, which literally, I guess, literally translates to, or is translated to all you can drink. We also have Tabe Hodai, which is all you can eat. Mark, I've seen Nomi Hodais for a lot less than $20. I think I've seen Nomi Hodais for like $7. It's a time constraint of how many Like maybe it's a 60-minute Nori Nomi Hodai for $7. And what you can drink is limited to like the cheapest beer and the cheapest mixed drinks, like highballs or something. So Japan is actually a pretty cheap place to drink if you don't want to drink fancy shit. And even if you want to drink like good liquor, like what did I have this rum that I like to drink called Pampero, and this bar in Nagoya called Mexican has it. It wasn't particularly expensive. That's a premium rum. Major Human says Bangkok probably lower risk, but also lower reward than Japan for what you're looking for. Learn Thai. I'm learning Thai. Nice that you wrote Thai. Japanese supposed to be harder and you did it. Can you read, write Japanese? I can read Japanese. I can write a little. I can type Japanese pretty well, because then you've got the computer to help you out. I can read about 500 Chinese characters out of the standard 2,000. Um, so I can read Spanish and French better than Japanese. Um, Confucius say man who go through subway turnstile going to Bangkok. Very nice. Thai police women are hot. I haven't noticed that. We need to start a GoFundMe for Warren to review all these various nightclubs. There's videos on YouTube already doing. You can't bring your phone. You can't video record inside the clubs. Be careful. I actually have a female friend from Thailand who lives in Florida, married to a friend of mine, and she has like I actually sent her some pictures from some of the girls I was talking to on dating apps, and she's like, there's like 6 girls in the picture, and she goes, "Oh, number 2 and number 4 are ladyboys." Ladyboy is the term that Thai use for a man who transitions to being a female, a male who dresses up as a female or whatever, and they look very very much like women. Um, I saw one tonight who I'm pretty sure was a ladyboy because she was taller than me. And I think it's really rare for a Thai woman. It's rare for a Thai guy to be taller than me. It's really rare for a Thai woman to be taller than me. I'm 6 feet tall, so 183 centimeters. So Thailand, like Japan, has infrequent earthquakes, but monsoon season gets floods and typhoon. Well, I think Bangkok is sheltered from that stuff by the what is it, the Bay of Bangkok or something. I think there's not much risk of that. Um, Does boring work with any mining companies? Boring tunnels and mining are completely different operations. People think it's the same thing. It's not. Why not a lawyer's perspective on the Univision Tesla bot copyright nonsense? I think Univision backed off of that. I don't know, and I don't know enough about copyright litigation to say what's going to happen or whether somebody's going to sue them effectively. Um, oh, Mark, good luck with the weight loss and the transplant. Rooting for you, man. How cool if the Cybertruck range extender was portable Powerwall for an off-grid gateway? Well, it effectively is. I mean, isn't it? What do you use to learn the languages? So Japanese I learned many years ago, and I just practice, I guess. I don't know. I read stuff. There are apps. There's an app I use for Thai called Ling, Ling. That's pretty cool. I've just finished the free versions. I have to upgrade. Admiral Medjay, tu parles français aussi, Warren? Je parle un petit peu de français. Yo hablo un poquito de español y je parle un petit peu de français. I speak Spanish reasonably well. I'm not very good at listening in Spanish or French or Japanese, really. And my ex-wife says I'm not good at listening in English. Um, that was a joke. I don't know if I delivered it well. I can read Spanish and French better than I can read Japanese. I can speak Japanese better than I can speak French and Spanish. I probably speak Japanese better than I speak Spanish. Open a club in Bangkok, call it Cyber Club. Um, yeah. Um, so just looking forward, I want to wrap up. Number one, I'm wearing the TeslaMan T-shirt, which you can no longer buy because of some bullshit trademark claim or some crap. I don't believe you can buy this shirt anymore. But check out the other shirts on elonbits.com. This does draw attention. I wish this was still available. I might try to make it available again somehow. Um, what do I think about a new Tesla market for NACS chargers? Large batteries for leaf blowers, RV batteries, etc., charging with NACS at superchargers. Okay, so that misunderstands the challenge of supercharging. Supercharging only works with large batteries, and you're never going to have a battery that large on a leaf blower. RV maybe, um, but you're never going to have a battery that large on a leaf blower. So a 250 kilowatt charger, you need to have a battery of at least like 80 kilowatt hours to take full advantage of the supercharger. If you have a 10 kilowatt hour battery, then you might as well just charge on 110 volts. There's no particular advantage to charging at a fast charger in that situation. Leave it to wives to tell you the truth. Did I miss something? On par croissant. Um, yeah, elonbits.com for the merch. So again, at the top of the chat, I posted 9 a.m. East Coast time. I'm going to start doing a space on X called Alone Together for people who are alone on Christmas Day. So with that, I think I want to wrap this up. I want to thank everybody for watching, for your support. Please consider supporting me as a YouTube channel member. Please follow me on the X platform, WR4NYGov. Please consider supporting me there on Patreon or on the Daily Lie, which I'm not doing a Daily Lie video today. No, Tesla's not going to go into electric tools like leaf blowers. I don't see that happening. Um, so, and of course, check out my other videos. And thanks everybody. Thank you to moderators. I see Mark Plot there. I don't remember if I saw Mark Potachnik or not, or Jim Whitehead. But thanks everybody so much. Merry TeslaMas. Merry Christmas. Merry Happy Festivus. Whatever holiday you enjoy. I hope you get to spend quality time with people you love and care about. I hope you enjoy your lives, and Happy New Year coming soon. Thanks everybody. Bye bye.